say, I don't want to say it's likened to Call of Duty, just an example, that they had the single player, the co-op and the multiplayer. Obviously with Brink, you've blended it all into one.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep that kind of fresh? Because usually they'll play the single player, then they'll go and play a bit of co-op, then they'll play the multiplayer, a bit of co-op, the multiplayer. With Brink, obviously, you've gone for this blended game.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep it fresh and keep people coming back and playing the same old, like the same maps and the same kind of scenarios?
Oh, it's really the different objective types and the sort of the way the game is designed, because playing the same scenario, you can be 4 different classes at any time. You can have multiple characters that are specialized differently in those 4 different classes. You can choose to do different things in even just that segment of the level. So basically, you just get in this huge like possibility matrix of things that like it takes a long time for even a single level to become boring, just because you can approach it in so many ways. So that's one of the things that works so well. And then when you throw in those mixes, like we don't have much of a difference between those modes versus single player and co-op, but those do bring enough variation that brings another 3 possibilities. It's more than 3 because it depends how many people you're playing co-op with and how many people you're playing versus with. Really, it's just it's a mind-bogglingly huge number. And that's why I think it's just different every time.
Now, obviously, online, Brink's got this massively deep progression system with unlocks. How do you feel on the whole unlock thing? Especially, you're kind of rewarding players who play the game most. Mm-hmm. And does it not alienate new players who come in and they're getting beaten with better guns, bigger perks and stuff like that?
No, because that doesn't happen. Unless they specifically opt to. You don't get. We have a rank system. There are 5 ranks in the game. So a newbie player isn't going to come in and play against somebody who's max rank unless they specifically say, "Yes, I want to be matched with people who are max rank," which is fine for the people who have done it before and have just made new characters, and they don't care. They know the game. They think they can take it. But that's the whole reason why we have that system set up, just because we know it's going to be really, really crazy for them. But the thing is, our high level abilities aren't necessarily all that powerful. It's more that they're sort of tactically complex. It's stuff like satchel charges, like revive grenades, EMP grenades. Just going through like some of the different class ones. They're all sort of really, really hyper functionality extensions of what those classes do. And I think more than a newbie player would feel like they just got really owned, they wouldn't even know what just happened. And I think that's a big problem, because if you can figure out okay, like that person was just really good and did this and this and this, you can sort of learn from that and sort of grow as a player. But if you're just like, what the hell just happened? Like, you've got no incentive. It's just it's just depressing, and you want to go play something else or watch TV or whatever.
Is that something you're conscious of then, that you didn't want to fall into the mould of the Bad Company 2, Modern Warfare 2 kind of thing, where they really are rewarding the long-term players? So when you were designing the game, you wanted to make sure that people, no matter what skill level, no matter how long they played the game, they could just come in and be competitive with one another.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think people will play kind of like even in competitive things at sort of the different level brackets. I think some people will be like, okay, like you can only have a level 1 character. And we'll play like that, just to sort of keep things simple, almost like like you have your games that can be quite complex, and then people still set up like Desert Eagle duels. They reduce it to like the basic sets of possibilities. So people do all sorts of things like that, but it was really we wanted to not make it a grind. It's more. We wanted people to still feel investment in their characters and feel the sort of the buzz you feel from going up a level and getting something. But at the same time, we didn't want it to feel like a grind, or like that's another thing we didn't want to do. Like, you don't have to play a medic to advance your medic stuff. You can play as a soldier the whole time and be buying medic abilities. It doesn't make much sense, honestly, and I think many people will do it. It's more likely that they would be buying soldier abilities, and then they would decide later. It's like, okay, I'm going to just take this character and play him medic from now on. So I'm going to reset his abilities and put them all in medic, and then start playing that way.
The last time I played it on consoles was at E3 last year, and the build we played yesterday. Seems like the fluency has changed dramatically in the past kind of 8 months. It seems like more action, kind of literally non-stop from start to the end. I mean, is that something you've been working on?
Oh, definitely. I personally, that was maybe E3 didn't come at a great time for us last year. but you sort of just have to manage these things and sort of, we knew where we would end up. That's one of the things, and you don't want to sort of adjust your overall schedule to obviously it's a huge show, and there's a lot of press, and a lot of people actually get to go and play the game, but at the same time you don't want to end up shipping 2 months later, because you broke your back to make that, because ultimately people want the game sooner. So it's a tough one to try and balance, but yeah, ultimately we knew where the game was going, and we had faith in that, but from that one, it was kind of hard to convince people, I'll have to admit.
Would you say that you can't really miss E3 then, as to show your game off? With so many games there, is there a risk of you not going to E3 and showing your game that you'll get overshadowed and fall back out the limelight?
I think so, unless you're sort of one of the big guns, I think Blizzard can do whatever the hell they want, and justifiably so. The top developers, who are going to make their own news, they can do what they want. That's why you see a lot of them now, or even sort of just below that, they'll do a big announcement right before E3, so almost just like steal a bit of the thunder, rather than go into the crazy fray that it is. But yeah, I mean, it's still, I mean, it was different when it was sort of gone for a while, but yeah, it's sort of the big sort of trademark event, and you really do need to put something out there.
Now the release date was brought forward this week, I do believe.
Yeah.
Was that to avoid LA Noire?
Specifically, no. Realistically, of course that's a good thing. It's another big release coming out on the same day. Obviously, we're a very different game, so. Who knows how much buyer, how much crossover there was there. But I mean, the bottom line was that Microsoft and Sony decided the game was ready. We were planning for worse, that they'd find more bugs, and we'd have to do more submissions. But they were happy with the way things were. So I'm like, all right, well, let's get it out earlier.
Are you nervous about becoming the next Alan Wake great game that didn't quite sell as well as it should have? Because that fell, I think it was a week before Red Dead Redemption last year.
Yeah.
And it suffered sales-wise because of Rockstar's marketing push, their kind of power, their budget, they can say, pretty much just spend on it.
I'm not really as worried because we have such a strong multiplayer component. The thing with Alan Wake, while it was a great game, Remedy worked on it for so long, and it's so well put together. They came up against the typical Rockstar single player open world, hours and hours and hours. It is in direct competition. We have something that I think players will be playing all summer at the very least. And I could see people having both games. I'm not even sure if LA Noire has multiplayer. I mean, I know it's got a super strong single player, but obviously it's radically different, and I think we can exist hand in hand. If the sales are disappointing, I don't think it'll be because of that. I think it'll be because it's our complexity, and people just think it's too daunting, or they just don't like the style of the game, and they don't like playing with other people. So. It's 360 PC and PS3 on, I believe it's May 10th now in the US and May 13th in Europe.